welcome to our boating industry news. Today we catch up with a couple of key people in the boating scene in South Australia, and Stuart Myles of Elite Ski Boats and Gordon Panton of Maritime Safety of the Department of Planning, Transport and Infrastructure. Welcome to both of you.
Morning, Neil.
Morning, Neil. Morning, Stuart.
Hey, COVID-19 has been disruptive in so many ways, but it's also presented opportunities to sectors that service domestic and outdoor recreation, and that means boating. So, Stuart, how has the boating industry in South Australia responded?
Well, initially with the outbreak of the COVID in March, so that first quarter was quite devastating to the boating industry here in SA. But with the great results that the SA government put in place, we've been able to come out of the storm in a rather strong position. So as from, say, June, July, reported figures for sales both here and around the state were very, very strong. And since then has grown stronger. We've had a number of people anecdotally tell us that people are looking for that escape from their closed, confined ways during that COVID, and a blue mindset hitting the water, being part of the ocean environment, the river environment, has released a lot of pent-up tension and stress. So we're seeing a conversion into sales. We also believe a lot of it's going to do with the fact that money isn't going to be spent travelling overseas for quite some time, and people are reinvesting and looking at our very safe state to expand their boating horizons in, both up the Murray, on the water, anywhere near water, just to get that blue mindset. So it's been very positive since June. Our biggest issue now is going to be stocking.
Well, it's probably a good problem to have, I suppose. Hey, Gordon, how have the boating public responded in terms of levels of activity and also, importantly, behaviour compared with past winters and past early springs?
Yeah, I must admit, Neil, coming into COVID, a very strange time for everyone. We were changing, how we worked and where we worked. But what we did find is boating actually increased dramatically for the winter months. In South Australia, it's a very calm time during COVID. That March, Easter period is a very calm time on the water. But boat ramps were full. We had a lot of inquiries about what are the COVID rules on boating, and we were lucky in South Australia. We were limited to 10 people per gathering. You had to maintain that social distancing, but if you're of the same family, there was no restrictions on the family going boating, so to speak. So it was a dramatic increase. Our guys were still out there, but not. All they were doing is keeping an eye on non-compliance. If anything key non-compliance was identified, they would get involved. But other than that, they were just maintaining that social distance and making sure everyone was safe. As far as incidents go, there were no major incidents through that period. We constantly kept up the comms, to maintain your equipment and make sure you've got it on board. But generally, it was an increased level of activity, and I guess because people were, working from home and going fishing at the same time, maybe, but I don't know.
No, I think that South Australia seemed to handle it better than some other states, that's for sure, in terms of the smooth arrangements and the behaviour. Certainly, that was a positive out of all of that COVID restriction, that people could actually get some release and relief by getting out in the boat and fishing and with their family and households. Stuart, what sectors in particular of the boating industry in South Australia are performing the strongest now, and why?
What I've been able to ascertain is certainly the trailer boat section, the under 6 metre. I believe there's also been some rather large product being sold in the Riviera line, etc. For us, the season has really kicked off just over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Momentum in the ski season, which traditionally starts October long weekend, has just gone through the roof, both in our ski shop and also new and used boat sales. We just can't simply keep up with them. I think a lot of people have reinvested and looking at either upgrading or getting involved in the water sport industry on the River Murray.
So you think it sounds as though there's a few new entries in that group, new entries to boating.
definitely has been. We've seen a number of our regulars update and upgrade, but we've also had an influx of first-timers, new boat owners wanting to partake of the lifestyle that the wonderful River Murray up there gives you an opportunity to go out and either have a houseboat holiday or a skiing holiday or just enjoy the water, the B&Bs up our way. To mirror what Gordon was saying, yeah, anecdotally, I can tell you now, we have seen a higher usage of the waterways over the winter period, which has been very positive.
And do you think that's going to continue? Do you have a sense it's going to keep going through to 2021?
I think you're going to see strong movement in the retail sector and the movement into enjoying our waterways right through to 2022. I think 2021 is going to be a very strong period for us.
Yeah, it's sort of the sense that's coming from around the country is that. And Gordon, with that in mind, what are the priorities, for the regulator over the rest of the year?
Yeah, we're expecting a very busy summer. Just with that, the river usage, people can't go overseas, so everyone with a shack on the river or on the York Peninsula, West Coast, they're going to be there and they're going to be boating. So we're expecting a very busy summer. Obviously, launching with the National Boating Safety Week, which is a great initiative that ANZBEG's put together. And the key messaging out of that, is basically live it, and then stuff will develop out of there. But our focus out of our survey last year and what we've seen on the water, it's with the introduction of the new life jacket laws a couple of years ago, it's ensuring people service them, know exactly which ones to wear. And another key item we're going to address this year is any expirable items, such as EPIRBs, flares, servicing of equipment. Just notice a lot, not so much complacency, but it's something that people don't think about when they dust off the boat trailer and head out. Just trying to make sure everyone's got the right safety equipment and it's in date and you're wearing the life jacket and it's serviced. The key basic message, and that'll be it for this summer, along with anything. Another thing we've got now, which we've just sort of gone through the trials, is an electronic vessel check sheet. So as the officers are out there, it gives us live data and it also gives us any trends that might be developing on what people are and aren't doing. So that's a new tool that can help us develop those strategies and modify them mid-season if we see any trends going the wrong way.
Yeah, look, the data capture like that, you just talked about, Gordon, from the field is so important to inform, the way you bend and shape those sorts of campaigns. And you're right about the servicing of equipment, particularly life jackets. I've just come out of a national Australian standards meeting, and the conversation there is all about, how to improve the take-up and awareness of the service requirements of inflatable jackets. And it's a really important story. It's not going to go away anytime soon, and it's good to hear the regulator on the case as well in terms of driving that awareness. And I guess just to shift across into a slightly different field, if you like, because of the strong interest in boating and the participation increasing for this season, it's certainly going to put more pressure on infrastructure. And I guess a question for Stuart: what do you see from the industry point of view are the priorities for infrastructure across South Australia at the moment?
Okay, I'll speak specifically about my area of expertise, which is the River Murray. So in that regard, obviously, we would love to see better facilities in regards to launching boat ramps and having jetties for people's convenience and safety. It is paramount with a lot of new boaties entering the industry and coming to enjoy our waters that we offer them a safe launch and retrieval atmosphere. So if we can have pontoons in there, and of course intelligence, as Gordon was saying earlier, that if they're monitoring and we're getting intelligence back as to how people are operating on the river, it's certainly going to give us a more educated view as to what we need to target. But in this instance at the moment, I would say the infrastructure along the waterways I see as paramount to increasing enjoyment on the River Murray.
Yeah, like from an infrastructure point of view, it's so important in boating, particularly the ability to put on additional features, whether it's a pontoon at a ramp, and those sorts of add-ons to enable people, irrespective of their age and ability, to get out there and enjoy the waterway. I guess that's the ultimate game. But look, just want to put a final question to both of you. What got you into boating in the first place? And perhaps Gordon,
Well, it was my dad's fault, really. I was born, my father had a yacht, and then when I was about 5, he decided to build a 40-foot Roberts in the front yard. So I've been around boats from a young age. The day I left school, I became a shipwright, then ran away to sea, fishing, and then on commercial passenger stuff. Yacht racing internationally, and Sydney Hobarts and all that sort of stuff. And then sort of got married and had kids, and sort of came off the water and came to the other side of boating. And and I like to, looking after the waterways. I do have an understanding on what is out there and how dangerous it is and how enjoyable it is. Looking from a common sense approach, really.
Yeah. So that sounds like you need to get a boat organised for those kids, Gordon.
Yeah, I did. I did get myself a RL28 that needed some love and attention, and I think the furthest I got was take the boot top off in the backyard, and then I gave it to someone else. Kids, a couple more years and they'll be into it, but they're a bit too young at the moment. I'm just not at that stage yet. I'd love to, but not yet.
Yeah. Well, we'll watch that space. And what about you, Stuart? I've got a funny feeling it's got to do with skiing.
I believe it might have. Yeah, look, like most people up on the river, once the Murray's flowing through your veins, it's very hard to get it out. My parents first introduced me to the water skiing up there in Murray Bridge when I was about 12 or 13, and it's been with me ever since. I just had previous business ventures here in Adelaide, and of course my passion was always water skiing. I was a very avid competitor with marathons going right back through the 80s, 90s, etc. And then, of course, like Gordon, with the advent of kids, there was a slight shift. We've had a number of shacks up the river, and we've continued on that. We've never been away from it. But for me, it's the next cycle. My kids have in the business now and running it, and they've been introduced. They've been on the water all their lives. Now it's my grandkids, so it's a never-ending story, as I say. Once water's in your blood, it's hard to get it out, no matter whether it's salt or fresh.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good habit, good passion to pass on down the line. So, look, with that, thank you both for joining us, having a bit of a chat today. But we'll wrap it there. And thank you, and stay COVID safe, everyone.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Stuart. See you soon.